Hey guys, welcome back to the Book Rookie. I'm Karen, and today we're going to be doing the last haul video for my Austin trip. Again, I had so much fun in that city. I thought that they had fantastic and diverse and vibrant bookish communities there, and I will definitely be returning. I made some friends with some of the people that worked in some of the shops, so I definitely intend to keep in touch with them until I go back the next time. So the first store that I went to again was Bookwoman. This is a feminist bookstore, much like Harris Books here in Atlanta. And the first book that I got is The Warmth of Other Suns, The Epic Story of America's Great Migration by Isabel Wilkerson. So this is a book about the migration of Black people from the South to the West and the North in search of a better life. It says from 1915 to 1970. So this is a pretty thick book. Isabel Wilkerson, who you can see right there, she interviewed I think 1,000 people, and anyway, this is supposed to be a really good one, even though it's really thick. It's probably going to take a while. I'm so excited for this because based off of what I've heard of this book, it is an instant classic. So the next store I went to was Recycled Reads. Again, this was kind of like a glorified Goodwill book section, which was totally cool, but some of the books, you could find really great books, but the quality wasn't always the best. And I'm pretty sure that they are completely donation-based and that they are a nonprofit. So I actually had a lot of fun in there, and they had books for like 50 cents. So that was great. They had an amazing section for Pride Month, and so I picked up a few books from that. The first book that I got is October Morning. This is just a bright book, so there's no nice way I can save you guys from, oh god, look at the glare. October Morning, a song for Matthew Shepard. It got the Stonewall honor. It says, on the night of October 6th, 1998, a gay 21-year-old University of Wyoming student named Matthew Shepard was lured from a bar by two young men, then savagely beaten, tied to a fence on the outskirts of Laramie, and left to die. 5 days later, Leslie Newman arrived on campus to give the keynote speech for the University of Wyoming's Gay Awareness Week. So this is about the aftermath of this brutally violent death. It's a series of poems inspired by this event, and it was something that just spoke to me. I had never heard of it before, but something about the way that this was published spoke to me. I think the Stonewall Honor book kind of got to me. It spoke to me. It was like, read me, and I was just like, okay, that's yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm interested in reading this. It will be a quick read. It's a book of poetry, so yes. The next book I got from the Pride Shelf is Andrew Holleran's The Beauty of Men. This is the author of Dancer from the Dance, a novel. So this is one of those annoying books where they don't actually have the blurb on the back. They only have, recommendations and quotes. So I don't really know anything about this book. I just thought that the cover, again, a lot of these are cover buys. I thought that the cover was beautiful. I thought that the beauty of men is such a wonderful phrase. It has a very, soft edge to it. To be honest, I'm probably not going to get to it anytime soon, but I'm glad that it's on my shelf. The next two books were really, really fun for me to buy. The first book that I got, this was like 25 cents or something. It is Scary Stories, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. This is a collection of scary stories. I read this when I was a kid. This was like a series that, a series of scary stories that probably got me into horror novels in the first place. I know I haven't really featured too many horror novels on here. It's something that I'm really interested in getting more into. But I'm excited to be reading this again and see if it gives me the same thrill that it did back when I first read it. Next up is a recommendation from one of the people who worked at Recycled Reads. This is Nancy Drew Vampire Slayer. What? So I started reading it, and I swear to God, it's like a play-by-play of Buffy. And it is so fun. I mean, it's a kid's like graphic novel. It's very thin, very short. I could read this in like 30 minutes probably. Not even. And part 1. So where are the rest of the parts? I would like this in my collection. So this was just really fun. This was a fun one to pick up. So the next series of books I got from Malvern Books. I think that this was probably one of my favorite bookstores on the trip. It was just such a lovely store, and they were very helpful there. So the first book I got was a recommendation. If you guys watched my last video, you would have seen this is a recommendation from Taylor. It's The Complete Stories of Leonora Carrington, and he described it as if Frida Kahlo's paintings were written down. It's that kind of surrealist, kind of, I'm assuming, kind of trippy, kind of writing style, and it's a series of short stories which seem actually to be the kind of specialty of this store. This one will be interesting. I want to read this soon so that I can get back to Taylor and tell him if I enjoyed it or what my thoughts are on this book. So next I heard about this book on BookTube. I'm sorry, I don't remember who first recommended it. It might have been Stephanie from That's What She Read. This is A Tree or a Person or a Wall by Matt Bell. Again, this is a series of horror short stories, so you know how I feel about that. I'm very excited to read this. I feel like, again, I say that I'm excited about everything because I am. So I'm pretty pumped for this one. I like the way that it was published. It was one of those moments where I was like, I really shouldn't buy this book, but I was like, but when will you get the chance to buy it in person again? Because I haven't seen this book on bookshelves very often. So I'm glad I could get this one. So the next book immediately spoke to me. Ugh, it's so pretty. It's called Portrait of the Alcoholic by Kava Our Akbar. So I think this is a series of poems about alcoholism, or at least inspired by alcoholism and addiction. This is something that really spoke to me on multiple levels. I am really excited to get through this. I might read this today, actually. might be scandalous. Might read it today. It's just, the way that it's published is so great. It's like buttery, you know? Like the front cover is just soft and smooth, and I'm gonna probably put this on display when I finally get my own place. I'm probably gonna be like, look at it! Look at it! Anyway, the last book from Malvern Books holds a special place in my heart. My cousins have been watching my BookTube channel, and they're interested in the Classics of Color series, and so one of my cousins brought this to me in Malvern Books and was just like, this might be a good one for your series. And this is, bookmark, 15 Iraqi Poets, edited by Dunya Mikhail. So, I don't know much about this, much more than it's 15 Iraqi poets. I, of course, am interested. I don't know what time period this is from. I don't know if it would exactly fall into my Classics of Color series in terms of time period. Typically, my Classics of Color series is from 20th century going backwards. But this, I'm trying to expand from just when I say people of color, I mean all people of color, not just black people. And so having an Arab influence is definitely something that I'm interested in learning more about. And they've really been helping me identify some really amazing Arab authors and poets. So maybe I'll read this one today too and be, yes. I mean, the two of them, they're so small, and so, you know, so beautifully published. I have a feeling I'm going to read these together, and I will let you know what I think of those. So the last store I went to was Book People. Again, I was very intimidated by this store, but I still ended up spending a lot of money just based off of the recommendation list. So the first book I got is Maggie Nelson's Bluets. This book has been going around quite a bit, and I mean, just look at it. Lovely. So I have never read Maggie Nelson before, and I thought that this is a good place to start. It says, Maggie Nelson's books include Women, The New York School, and Other True Abstractions, The Red Parts, Something Bright, Then Holes, and Jane, a Murder. So I don't know if those are the titles. I think these are themes that are in this book. I didn't do a very good job of researching before I made this video. I just woke up and was like, I'll make a video! And then I did it. So, yeah, so, meh. The next book, man, I have very high expectations for this. This book has been going around BookTube. It is, Jen Campbell has talked about it. I really want to enjoy this book. It's Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. I have been a little bit disappointed by the representation of violence towards the Black community. This is a series of poetry and essays about violence in America. As you can see, it's the sweatshirt, hoodie, and I really, really want to enjoy this. I really desperately need to find something that I enjoy and that is not overrated. So I really hope that this is a good one. It's another small, like large writing, lots of imagery in here. Anyway, Citizen, don't let me down, please. I want this to be one of the books that I can recommend to people and just be like, are you upset? If you're upset about what's going on in this country, please read this book. So the last book I got is a big booktube hyped up book. Again, it was one of those books that I was just like, I'm not going to see this in a bookstore for a very long time, so let me buy it. This is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is a sci-fi book about, it says, when Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the Wayfarer, she isn't expecting much. The patched up ship has seen better days, but it offers her everything she could possibly want. A spot to call home, a chance to explore the far-off corners of the galaxy, and some distance from her past. And nothing could be further from what she's known than the crew of the Wayfarer. Something about this sounds like a cross between Firefly and Star Trek. That would be amazing. I've heard such great things about this book. Ooh, it gets great fun by Anne Leckie, author of Ancillary Justice. So I think I've run out of things to say because I haven't had my coffee yet. But this is one of those books that I'm probably going to read and talk about on Sci Friday. So stay tuned. So that was the last of my Austen haul. I spent hundreds of dollars on new editions of books, and I couldn't be happier with them. In order to kind of make it worthwhile, I really want to get to at least half of these books soon, so hopefully you guys will be hearing about these books on this channel. I will see you guys later. Bye!